All right, Case, we have two Apex off-roading trucks, one from Ford, one from GMC. What are we doing today?
Today we are at our classic Ironclads trail. We're gonna test these two trucks out on some obstacles and see which one of these is the best rock crawling rig.
Some good articulation.
Keep turning this way a little bit. Perfect. Now let's see as far as clearance.
That's where we bottomed out.
From the top. Both of these trucks have very fancy shocks. The Ranger Raptor has Fox live valve shocks, which obviously do really well with high-speed running, but this Canyon AT4X has the Multimatic DSSV spool valve mouthful shocks, and those are also very capable. I like these DSSV shocks in any application that I've tested them, but especially in a midsize. So either way you go, you've got a really good shock package. Shocks. Now the Ranger Raptor has so many different modes, everything from a slippery mode and a trailering mode. Yeah, there's slippery, there's tow haul, there's sport, there's normal, there's off-road, Baja, and rock crawl.
Yeah.
Which is a lot.
That's a lot.
We're gonna be rock crawling today, so rock crawl mode will be good. The only thing I don't love about rock crawl mode, and this is true of most Fords, any of them that I've been in recently with a rear locker, is they will automatically kick on your rear locker, which in a way makes sense because we're going to be rock crawling, but
right.
I'd rather select it manually, so we'll probably kick it off on the screen until we need it.
Okay.
So first up, Jen, we've got the Ranger Raptor, and we've tested this same truck on this same trail many times. This is really our benchmark.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, we've tested this, what, 10 times at least?
Yeah, it's been up this trail many times, so we know exactly how it performs, but we still want to demo it, especially because we've got the truck here. It would be way less fun to not take it up the trail.
Right.
Initially, we've got the steps here, and this is perfectly dry. We haven't had any snow up here anytime recently, so no big deal at all getting up over the rocks. We are in rock crawl mode,
but no locks or no diffs locked right now.
Yeah, we kicked off the rear locker because we don't need it quite yet. But right here at the beginning, we're gonna run into one of our favorite obstacles. These are the Razor Rocks. And we're probably going to need both of our lockers to get up here. These are the Razor Rocks. This is one of our favorite obstacles here at the Ironclads Trail. And depending on what angle you're looking at the Razor Rocks from, especially on camera, it might look like this is only maybe one Subway sandwich tall, stood on end. But from this angle, you can see why this is a difficult obstacle. The ground slopes down right in front of the rocks, and when I'm standing in this dip in the dirt here, you can see that the top of the rocks are about shoulder height with me, which is a reason that this is a challenge for any vehicle when we're out here rock crawling.
You ready, Case?
So we'll have you cruise on the closer side to the tree.
Yep.
And then cut over, and I'll spot you on your front bumper with clearance.
Beautiful.
And if you want to go on your screen and kick on both the lockers.
Lockers engaged. All right, I'm gonna try to get as close to that root as possible.
Perfect. Now you can start turning toward me.
Climb up the rock here. Gentle throttle.
Nice. Keep turning this way a little bit. Perfect.
That throttle nice and gentle. Yeah, those lockers really help. Ooh.
Right now you're demonstrating the advantages of having front and rear lockers. Look at the control.
I know. This is just crawling up beautifully.
Now I will say it is getting a little close underneath. You'll be fine.
Those side steps aren't too great in situations like this.
No, and I heard it touch bottom just a little bit. Nothing dramatic, but you start to run into some of the limitations of clearance.
Yeah, a little
on
bit.
the Raptor. But that was flying colors.
That was super easy. That's the thing is, when you engage the lockers, it makes it seem like, oh, you know, my CRV could do this. But, you know, if you try to do this without the lockers, you quickly realize it is very difficult.
Well, the other nice thing with these trucks is the wheelbase. Because these trucks are a little bit longer, they have an easier time with that, because we've tried to get our two-door Wrangler up that feature, and because it's so short, it really shoots the front end up into the air and makes it not so comfortable to try and do this obstacle.
A little sketchy.
These trucks being longer, they do fine.
Yeah.
Anytime we're off-road, we also make sure to have onX Off-Road downloaded so that we can check out some offline maps, look at trail conditions, where exactly we're going, what the difficulty is, and onX has a new feature where you can see what areas you will and won't have cell service so you know when you're going to get back to reception. Check out the link for onX Off-Road down below. Popping
up the hood of our beloved Ranger Raptor. We are working with a 3-liter twin-turbo V6 made it up to a 10-speed automatic. However, this has been tuned.
That's right. We've got a Ford Performance tune on this truck, which is actually a pretty affordable thing to do. It's less than $1,000, and that took this from 405 horsepower to 455 horsepower and 536 pound-feet of torque, which is an insane power figure for a mid-sized truck. That's even more horsepower than you get on the standard F-150 Raptor EcoBoost.
Not much, but still 5 horsepower and more is still something.
Yeah, it's impressive.
Popping up the hood of the GMC Canyon, we are working with a 2.7-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. It made it up to an 8-speed automatic.
Yeah, and 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque, which in the grand scheme of things is not bad, but next to the Raptor, that seems like a pretty small output. It's a huge difference. Then again, any mid-sized truck next to the Raptor with that Ford Performance tune looks very underpowered.
Absolutely.
The GMC also has several modes such as normal, Baja, terrain, tow haul, off-road. Off-road is primarily what we're going to be using today, and like the Ford, this truck has 2 high, 4 low, and 4 auto, as well as front and rear lockers. But one thing I've got to give credit to GMC for is even though they didn't give us a physical switch for the headlights, they did give us a physical switch for the front and rear locker rather than integrating it into the screen, and I like that. Nice. I like it a lot. Yeah, so now we're inside the Canyon AT4X, and I gotta say, the seats,
it's pretty wild.
Cool.
Yeah, I'm digging it. It's even the super fancy red.
I know.
Seat belts.
Red seat belts, any vehicle, red seat belts make it feel more special.
Oh, absolutely, 100%. Really, any color seatbelt other than just black or gray.
It makes it look cool. I like this interior. I think there's a lot of high points on this interior. The materials, the design, the materials to a degree, because there's some hard plastic here at the top of the door. So if you're an arm out the window type of person, hopefully not while you're off-road, but in general, when you're driving around, if you are, then you're gonna be resting your arm on some kind of cheap hard plastic. Some also funky omissions, like that rear glass right there is manual open, which in general I'm not against, but this is not a cheap truck. We'll talk about price in a little bit, but
you kind of expect those types of amenities when you get to this type of price point.
Yeah, but one thing this truck has got going for it, for one, the look from the outside.
Oh, it's no question. Looks amazing.
The look and the stance of it on 35-inch tires versus the 33s on the Ranger Raptor looks awesome.
It's a noticeable difference.
And now we're pulling up to the Razor Rocks. I'm going to kick on my lockers if you want to spot me.
Sure do.
We'll see. I think the extra clearance is going to make a difference. So let me know how I'm looking on my front bumper. That's the main thing, is I just don't want to run this nice AEV bumper into the rocks.
All right, let's go driver. And then if you want to start climbing up passenger, there we go. Bumper's looking good.
Nice.
Some good articulation.
Cool thing here is I can take a pretty aggressive line.
Oh yeah.
In this
Woo!
canyon. Because I've got so much clearance, so I was able to actually push a little further over to the right.
Easy.
And still, so much clearance on this truck and so much control, because once again, we've got front and rear lockers. So there's no slip, nothing unexpected. It just cruises over with full control. It's awesome. That's so much fun, that never gets old.
No, that was super easy. A lot of articulation.
Yeah.
And these rock sliders certainly came in handy. If we had big side steps, those would have been scraping for sure.
Well, I was impressed too because I was able to push a little further over to the right side of the line since we've got some extra clearance here. So it was even a more difficult line than what the Ranger Raptor was able to do. And even so, we didn't really scrape bottom.
No.
Because this truck is jacked up so high.
Yeah, no,
It's
that
super
was easy.
Yeah.
That was great.
One of this Canyon's party pieces are all of the AEV additional goodies that this comes from the factory with, which is pretty cool. We've got an AEV front bumper here. We've got an AEV snorkel attached to the fender. We've got AEV wheels. We have this rock slider that comes from the factory. Tons of skid plating underneath. There's also this spare tire in the bed, which does take up quite a bit of space from the bed, but it looks cool and it gets you a full size. And then at the rear, you've got an AEV bumper as well. So quite a lot of extra goodies that you can get already equipped on this truck from the factory.
Taking a closer look at these wheels on the Canyon, we've got these 17-inch Salta GMC wheels. They're beadlock capable. And the tires are 315/70/17. That is a huge tire measuring about 35 inches.
By comparison, the Ranger Raptor doesn't have nearly as many goodies bolted to the outside of it. Luckily, you don't necessarily need all of those things, but one low point, literally, are these Raptor branded side steps. They are pretty durable, they're thick metal, and we've certainly tested the durability on them by running them up on quite a few rocks. They hang a little low and they can get in the way when you're doing some more difficult rock crawling. However, we do have a completely open bed. So the full-size spare here on the Ranger Raptor lives underneath.
Getting a closer look on the wheels and tires on the Ranger, still a smaller wheel, which is definitely what you're going to want for an off-roading scenario. We got 17s, but a 285/70/17 tire. Now, the one downfall between these wheels and the wheels on the Canyon is that these spokes kind of protrude a little bit. And as you can see, when you are getting close to some rocks, that is going to be an issue. Whereas the wheels on the Canyon have more of a dip in the profile, so you're not really going to run into an issue like that.
Now, Jen, we're staring down Truth and Dare. Of course we're going to do Dare because this truck just makes light work of this trail.
You don't come here to do truth. You don't find the easy lines. That's not fun in off-roading.
Especially once you've pretty easily gotten up and over the Razor Rocks. One rock that I do like to crawl up is this one up to our left.
Yeah, straight ahead here.
Yeah, that's a pretty decent test of traction because there's actually, in articulation a little bit, there's quite a few vehicles I've seen not be able to get over this, like a lifted 80 series Land Cruiser on 35s.
That just crawled up so easy.
Ranger Raptor on 33s.
And this is 33s. I mean, like this is super simple.
Yeah, and look, what we're doing today is not the most challenging off-roading that we've done with this truck. But from what we've seen with the Ranger Raptor, this is an impeccable combination of a truck that does really well at high speeds. If you're in the dirt, you can kick out the tail.
Oh, yeah.
You can use all that horsepower and torque and this nice soft long travel suspension to drive it like a rally car.
Oh, and it feels incredible too.
Oh,
you
it's
don't
so
really
much fun.
feel like you're getting jostled around as much.
And it doesn't handle that like a pickup truck. It handles it like a performance car, which is really cool. And then you get into some rock crawling, and really this Ranger Raptor, other than the side steps being a little low and some of the limitations of having only a 33, this truck rock crawls 90-95% as well as most off-road pickup trucks on the market.
Yeah, I mean, even though this is geared towards more high speed and Baja, like we were talking about, it still gets the job done with
really
rock
does,
crawling.
yeah. We could flip around and do like a little test to see how the breakover is on it.
It's not great, Case.
Yeah.
It's not great. We're gonna be hearing some things that are gonna, thank you. We're gonna hear some things that aren't going to sound too great, and these side steps really don't come in handy in situations like this.
No, it's one of the limitations. I understand why from the factory they put side steps on a truck. It does make it easier to get in and out of. That GMC is a little bit of a hop to get up into, and it's a tall truck. It's funny looking at the GMC next to this Ranger Raptor because the GMC is so much taller.
Right. Well, I mean, the wheels or the tires themselves are 2 inches taller.
And here, I'll pop out and see how we're gonna do as far as breakover angle on this as your nose starts to drop down. So why don't you go ahead and cruise forward.
I'm gonna go straight.
Let's see.
Nice and easy.
Rub the fuel tank skid just a little bit,
Okay.
but not too bad. From this point on, I think you should be good.
Am I going straight?
Yeah.
You got it, boss. Nice and easy. I don't hear anything.
So again, some limitations with the height of the truck and how much clearance it has.
Right. All right. Well, that wasn't so bad.
No,
We've experienced worse.
we've definitely heard worse.
Yeah.
So really a good performance here from the Ranger Raptor. This whole trail is light work for this truck.
Yeah, easily.
So there are a couple trade-offs with having the 35s on this truck. For one, it's tall and it's a bit of a jump to get up into it.
Yes.
But really the biggest one is that the 35-inch spare is there in the bed. The 33-inch spare on the Raptor fits underneath, and
Right.
that's nice because that leaves your bed available. The other funny thing, and it doesn't matter so much while we're off-road here, but when I'm driving down the road looking in the rearview mirror, I see almost nothing. I see headrest,
Oh, that's true.
and I see
Yeah.
tire.
While it looks pretty awesome,
It looks cool.
otherwise not maybe the greatest design.
That being said, if you really need to maximize bed space, a midsize truck is not going to be your go-to realistically
Also,
one way or another.
Very true.
But it's still something worth consideration if you do need to put a lot of stuff in the bed of your truck. That might get in the way a little bit. And you could get just a regular AT4X, not get the AEV edition. You could save money.
True.
I like this AEV edition. I think it brings some really cool extra goodies. I like the bumpers. All the underbody protection is really nice.
Oh, I mean, you're paying for it, but you do get a lot for what you're paying for.
Yeah, and high quality components. And again, the rock sliders, all this underbody protection. If you're gonna do a lot of rock crawling, especially more aggressive rock crawling than what we're doing today, that underbody protection is probably gonna come in handy at some point or another.
yeah.
And you'll be happy that you spent the money on it, but it does jack up the price of the truck a lot.
Yeah.
That being said, cruising nice and slow through Dare here. We could just be going for a Sunday drive.
I know. It's almost uneventful. It's doing so well.
It's a really good truck in general, and one that you definitely can do some high speed off-roading with. I would say the Ranger Raptor, especially with that powertrain, is going to be the better high speed truck, but I also would say that this is the better rock crawler, and we're in the Rocky Mountains here. A lot of what we got is rock crawling, so this truck might be a little better suited for where we are.
I think just the tires, the clearance, and the rock sliders alone, I mean, is
Yeah.
huge. Let me spot you.
Yeah, so let's see how far toward the right I can go and not run on up.
That's a long dip. All right, Case.
So let's see how far to the right I can go without running out of breakover angle. Might be a little ambitious.
Looking
on my
good
end.
so far. Dipping down a bit on the driver's side. Clearing. Wow.
Wow.
Not even an issue.
Yeah, that's a pretty aggressive line down that.
Yeah, that was that was probably 2-3 inches away.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was fantastic.
So it didn't even come close. So this truck does very well with its ground clearance in general. It's pretty tall for the wheelbase and just the general size of the truck. Now on our way down the hill, got one last little obstacle. This is the alternate route that you would take if you couldn't get up the Razor Rocks. And it's still a little bit of a challenge as far as clearance. Yeah. And no surprise, the Ranger Raptor bottoms out quite a bit.
It's awful.
Yeah. So that's, again, it's one of the limitations when you look at this truck next to the GMC. The GMC is much taller, so we'll see how it compares. But you definitely only have so much clearance here on the Raptor.
Yeah, only about 10.7 inches, I think, which
Isn't bad.
it's not bad, but I mean, still definitely a limitation.
Yeah, if you're doing serious enough rock crawling, you might run up against that limit quite often.
I do like the camera systems on here. It's very clear.
Yeah.
It's not very distorted.
GM does a really good job with their camera views, and this truck kind of needs it because the hood is a little tall. Now let's see as far as clearance.
See, that's where
Didn't even touch.
that's where we bottomed out on the Ranger Raptor.
Yeah, so again, pretty impressive clearance for a factory off-road truck, because already the Ranger Raptor is really good. We've talked at length about how much we love off-roading that truck. And by comparison, specifically for rock crawling, what we're doing today, this Canyon has it beat.
It's showing for sure.
This is where it gets tough because we have to declare a winner.
Yeah.
And today, for rock crawling, the GMC performed better. It had better clearance.
Yeah.
But now comes the part where we talk about price.
Yeah, so as you all know, we've mentioned this before, we got this Ranger Raptor for $57,000. However, that is not what this GMC is coming in at. Case, what is the price on this Canyon AT4X?
Well, first let me explain. The AT4X starts around 58, 59, so similar pricing to what we got our Ranger Raptor for. But then you get all the AEV goodies, which, like we talked about, are cool and they're nice to have.
Yes.
But that brings this final sticker price up to $71,400. So it's quite a bit more expensive than the Ranger Raptor.
Yeah.
And this is where it's tough because these two trucks are kind of back and forth trading blows. That's got so much more horsepower and way more torque. It's got 2 more cylinders, it's got 2 more gears in the transmission.
Great for more high-speed stuff.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah.
And still a really good rock crawler because it's
Absolutely.
got lockers.
Right.
This truck is a better rock crawler and still pretty decent off-road, but quite a bit more expensive. So if it were my money and I were shopping for a truck personally, I would have to go for the Ranger Raptor.
I have to agree with you. I would still go for this. If I was in the market for only a rock crawler, it would be the AT4X all day. But, you know, you only spend, what, 5% of your time off-road.
Yeah.
Everything else is on the road. I think this is where my money would be at.
I agree. So let us know what you think down in the comments below. At the end of the day, both of these are really cool, good looking, and capable off-road trucks. So you can't go wrong.
They're both winners.
Exactly. They're both winners. That's a diplomatic way to end the video. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and we'll see you in the next. I just got the new wheels and tires on my truck,
Oh, yeah?
but I destroyed my hands doing it.
Well, that happens.
Yeah. Huh? Yeah, real athletic.
They're not totally worthless.
Wow. They're useful. Where'd she go? That is a good question.
All right. Oh, there she is. We're like, where did she go? Honky tonk.
Yeah.